Hello and welcome to a casted game here. Today we have a semi-final SFT match. That is a single faction tournament, for context, for anyone who doesn't know. It's where you just play the same faction throughout the tournament. No picks, no bans. You're just going with it. And we have Broccoli Fangirl playing Khorne versus Charix here today on the Lizardmen. And a very interesting Lord pick from Broccoli Fangirl. They decided to go with Arabal, the Undefeated. A kind of a cool Lord. I kind of forgot he existed. I don't know if anyone else did too. This guy was very meta for a little while. Looks like he's T-posing there. No, maybe just a normal stance. Kind of, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with him up there. I think the lore behind this guy is kind of like a combination of say like some legendary general like Napoleon or Hannibal Barca, but also like on meth and steroids. Just a crazy bloodlusting dude. Looks like I brought the explosion. Very interesting. you kind of never really see any Lord go with explosion abilities. They generally don't do much damage. They're just kind of clearing crowds for a Lord to be able to escape. But none of the aura buffs, which I thought you took Arabal for. So interested to see how Arabal does. A really great duelist, so that might just be all he's there for, is kind of like a cheap duelist to go around beating things up. On the other side, we have the greatest of toads, the toad who rides the dinosaurs, Lord Mazdamundi. All the abilities, a couple of bound abilities do damage, net apotheosis it looks like, and ooh, a little missile resist. Excellent. So for the rest of the Lizardmen army, it's going to be some skirmishers, 2 feral troglodyons, so some poking missiles. Maybe that's for wrathmongers or other bigger Khorne targets. Not sure. We shall see. So it looks like Khorne is going to take 2 objectives to start, and Lizardmen are going to take objective 3. So that will give them a little foothold, but they will need to move forward. Mazdamundi being very, very aggressive here. Almost gets caught behind that wall. But looks like Charix sees that and is going to pull back. Possibly a net going down on our ball. Yep, looks like a net going down, and then likely some Troglodon shots to follow up. We'll see how that goes. Some nice damage, and our ball does not have healing from what I know, so that might be a little rough. Ooh, it looks like a Karnak snare coming in there, though I didn't know there was a Karnak. Must have come out of reserve. So Mazdamundi is silenced, and the Korngors get some really solid damage on there. Fleshhounds covering and coming in for some chomps. Lord Mazdamundi does have a lot of health and healing, so that might be a bit risky to go for that play, but the Korngors are saturating in to these feral troglodyons, which will provide some nice cover. You can see a lot of damage going down on Lord Mazdamundi. Wounded Prey from Karnak down to half HP. Will be able to get his heals off, I believe, now that... Oh, no, Karnak's in the area, and I think Karnak has a silence aura. Yes. Yes, and the Troglodon, the feral Troglodon, our ball is doing some serious work. If you get on top of these Korngors at all as lizards, they have insane anti-large output with their frenzy and other abilities. So they can. You really don't want to be in there for any amount of time as a Lizardman big dino. And they are pulling back. Mazdamundi fleeing back to the swamp to heal up with his other toads. Feral Troglodons on the run from Arabal, who does not want to give up the chase. These are mostly shooting units, these Feral Troglodons, but as I say that, they turn back for melee, going in for a smack on the netted Arabal. Mazdamundi trying to get some terror routes on this large blob. Some units chilling over on objective 2. I might want to see those come over and join the fight over here. This seems like kind of a you win this fight, you win the game type of early dramatic clash, which I love. Love the early action. Korngors pushing along with Warhounds, pushing off the popcorn cohort. Mazdamundi on the run. Skirmishers doing really nice into this blob of units, and it looks like Broccoli Fangirl did bring in those other units from reserves over there on objective 2 to get some damage. Our ball is getting pretty beaten up. And Arbol does not have healing, so that's a little risky. But looks like Karnak, this little good doggo, the Severus of is that the name of the three-headed dog in Greek lore? I feel like I'm not saying it right. I feel like it's something else. But anyways, that's kind of what that dog is. Based on a lot of low leadership units here. That could be really bad for Khorne if they lose their center. These units are pretty crucial right now. Karnak, though, getting a nice silence, and Prey of the Blood God going on to Lord Mazdamundi with Arabal following up. I love the little banner that Arabal has. I just love banners in general for some reason in Total War. Like, I won't play campaign unless I have banners on from a mod or something like that. Don't ask me why. So units pushing in. Skirmishers are getting pushed back. Shielded skirmishers pushing, shielded warriors pushing back the skirmishers, which is really effective. Mazdamundi is so low right now. Being on top of Khorngors is really bad for any dinos here. Taking a lot of damage and is fleeing for the hills. You can see the carnage here in beautiful cinematic mode. Arabal and the Khorngors smacking up these lizards. Big Toad fleeing for the hills. Still has a decent amount of HP. Feral Troglodon covering for him. It looks like Mazdamundi is cleaning up his backfield. Right now, the damage is in favor of Broccoli Fangirl and the triple cap. Things are not looking good for the lizards here. Is there any hope for the dinos? Yeah, we are in the dinosaurs deployment zone, which does give... You can see these units coming out really fresh into the fight. And I think that's the risk here from Broccoli Fangirl, is they may overextend, get their units surrounded, cut off from behind, and a mass rout could lead to a changing of the tides here, but we shall see. Or if Arabal the Undefeated goes down, I think that could be pretty bad. Arabal does, or Broccoli Fangirl seems to know that and is trying to get their methed up Napoleon Bonaparte out of here. Looks like Relentless Rage goes down just after all Arabal breaks. That's really unfortunate. So won't matter because he is already fleeing. Khorngor is taking some damage. If we look at the objectives, is there any play by the lizards? Not yet. Just trying to win the fight, trying to stay alive. Points are almost up to 1,000. So lizards really need to make some headway quick here. Karnak is going down here. Probably will be sent back to the warp by the Troglodons, which are rampaging, one of them, and Lord Mazdamundi. Over here, Red-Crested Skinks going to trade pretty well into Khorngors. It's not like the most effective trade in the world, because Red-Crested Skinks are armor-piercing, which is wasted on Khorngors. No, they actually have decent armor. I stand corrected. Over here, Khorngors fighting a Feral Troglodon. You do not want to do that as a Feral Troglodon. This one is pulled back from the brink of Rampage. Karnak still fighting. Arabal the Undefeated coming back in. I think I disagree with this choice. Oh, yep, Arabal decided to agree at the last second. Mazdamundi netting Karnak and getting some shots in. Some skirmisher cav coming in over here for Khorne, just trying to get a quick follow-up. Over here we do see some objective plays, some Cold One Riders going to objective 2 for the lizards. They know it is time. They need to get some objectives quick. Right here, Skinks kiting Khorngors. That's pretty cost-effective unless they get caught and munched on. But just peeling off the Khorngors so the big dinos like Mazdamundi and the Feral Troglodons can escape. If any faction can capture these objectives in this short amount of time, and it's short amount of time because it is a triple cap, so I think you can think of it, if you just have one objective, things proceed at 1 second per moment. So if you have 100 points to go, that's 100 seconds left in the game if you have one objective. So just cut that down to a third of that, like 33 seconds, 0.3 repeating, of course, if someone had all 3 objectives. But the mass lizard tide is moving out, and there does not seem to be any Khorne resistance left. Khorne is ahead on value, but there's been a decent amount of healing for the lizards, and a lot of that value is tied up in these 3 large dinosaurs. See, their health bars are very low, and they are all still alive and functional. So it's kind of a fake a pseudo value lead right here. And it looks like these Furies and Marauder Horsemen are getting mowed down by the charge of the dinos here. The dinos have come for revenge. They did not like being bullied early on, and they are taking no prisoners. And that might be it, folks, for Khorne. I mean, they have plenty of time to work with to take back some objectives and get some leeway. But they are at a mass disadvantage right now on the battlefield. This could be nice to get some axes into Lord Mazdamundi here, get some poke and run away. Nice micro from Broccoli Fangirl pulling back. Looks like Charks as well sees that they are watching. It was just a prank. It was just a prank, Lord Mazdamundi says. I didn't mean it. Dinos pushing through Khorngors. Khorngors are going to be really nice into this area here. Yes, I like this surround from Broccoli Fangirl. If you can get Khorngors on top of all these large entities, you can get the bonus first large and that extreme damage output that Khorngors are capable of. You want to brace, though, if you can. You don't want to be on the move. Gets hit by charge, but that's not too bad. It won't matter much. These Cold One Riders, Velociraptor Riders, are going to run over Chaos Warhounds. Will be an easy win for them. Over here on the flank, Khorngors, dinosaurs going for an alpha strike, trying to rout these Khorngors. You can actually terror rout Khorngors before they reach their half health. Yep, you see it there. They are unbreakable if they go below half HP, but they can terror rout before that point. It's kind of a tricky little interaction. Getting chased down by Cold One Riders. Really nice play by Charks there to peel off that attack. That was looking a little scary there for a moment, but that's why Charks is one of the best players in the world. That was expertly handled. Over here, these objectives look pretty solidly in the Dino's control. One Cold One Riders unit holding 2 objectives. Very efficient. Very nice play. And yeah, I think that is going to be GG. One more shot from the Feral Troglodons on Arabal might put him in the dumpster. Unit of Chaos Warhound, really the only effective unit for Khorne left at the moment, and I think we can fast forward from this point on. Khorne going to make a play here on this flank, but the dinos will be able to bounce over and probably take care of that. If Khorne did take a point, like I'd mentioned, it's 1 victory ticket per second if you have an objective, so it'd be about 109 seconds, which would still take quite a bit of time to capture something. Lizards would be able to respond, but as I say that, no, these units are very low in HP. A little glimmer of hope for a second for Khorne, but the dinos are close behind, and they are going to remove that threat. Over here, Objective 3 doing fine. In the middle, yeah, that's gonna be it. Valiant attempt from Broccoli Fangirl, making plays. Might as well. This is a SFT semi-final, so it's win or go home at this point, so you might as well give it a try. Over here, another attempt on Objective 3, but the Lizards... Oh, looks like we had a little stick there for a second. And that is going to be the end. So let's check out the value damage for the various units in this game. Arabal was cool. I didn't see any Arabal explosions. 1800 is really great value. I think I might have liked to see the aura buffs, or maybe they nerfed the aura buffs on Arabal, and that's why you don't see them. But nice damage, and did stay alive throughout the fighting. Kind of a fast response duelist unit, so it was very cool. Khorngors, well, some of them doing amazing, some of them doing just okay. Chaos Warhounds were interesting, all this mobility. Looks like the Fleshhounds got a little dominated. I could see that because they don't have armor piercing values, so these Cold One Riders and Spear Riders are going to do good work into them. For the Lizards, had Lord Mazdamundi do 2100, not bad. Feral Troglodons also did really nice. I kind of like that netting and kiting style from Charix. Though it was a little in jeopardy early on when Broccoli Fangirl had that triple cap. Just had to hold that triple cap for a little longer. Not really sure what they could have done to do that, but it was a very close. And wow, look, I feel like I never see Karnak really do much, but that was a really, really great Karnak play. And I liked Karnak has a silence aura, which makes it so Mazdamundi can't cast spells. So that was really nice going down on the big toad. All right. Okay, here we are. Same map, it turns out. Did not see that coming, so a little repetitive there. Sorry for that. But we're going to be coming in with another toad. I like to think that all these large magic toads, these slans as they're called, in their free time are just kind of hanging out at like a spa, sitting around, or probably not chatting, telepathically chatting just about how much they hate chaos and skincare routines in a swamp, that is a spa swamp. Over for Khorne, looks like Valkia the Bloody, kind of a Valkyrie character if you're familiar with Norse lore. Gonna be buzzing around. Looks like some quick reacting fleshhounds for Khorne. Oh, and by the way, this is Bob versus Lay Kartoffel on Khorne. Some horned ones for the Lizardmen, a very cool unit. These guys are the elite melee cav of the dinosaurs. Really awesome models. Love the little feathers and the armor on the velociraptors there. You don't see these guys very often, but they do pretty insane damage, and they are actually faster than other Lizardmen cav, so you can kind of fill a nice niche. Healing caster for the lizards. Looks like some skirmisher cav over here for Khorne. Well, they have AP damage, so they nice jukes though by Bob, pulling back at the last moment to try and avoid some of that damage. Both players opting for more mobile builds to start out, something that can react and bounce around. And oh, the Knights of the Brazen Throne. These are pretty badass. I think they're Blood Crusher cav, the ROR. They have this ability. It's something about their charge. Yeah, the Murderous Charge. They get an insane mass buff and speed and charge bonus. Whenever they are charging. Essentially, they kill whatever they charge. Doesn't really matter what it is, unless it's like a single entity that's really strong or a braced spear unit. So hyper elite builds for both players. Really loving that. Fast and furious armies, looking for quick and like powerful engagements, trying to isolate their enemies' units. Here are the Khorne we saw from the previous match. They seem like a no-brainer into lizards to deal with all these big dinos. They have actually pretty good armor. Yeah, I thought it was much lower, but at 60, that's not bad. But still, they don't want to be hit by the various blow darts and missiles of the lizards. Looks like Khorne sitting cozy on objective 3, but the lizards do have 1 and 2, so Khorne is going to need to make a play. I think this is a little early to move up from La Carte, as I'll call them. Maybe it's to tie these units in place, so then the charge from those elite units can come in the back. But you're taking nice jukes, actually. I take it all back. Well done, La Carte, delaying and waiting for the rest of their army to catch up. The horned ones circling, kind of mirroring the movement of the Knights of the Brazen Throne. This is an annoying thing that's happened with this new patch, is when you move units, they turn into like this long marching column, which I guess is kind of thematic, actually, so maybe I don't hate it, but I don't know how that happened, but that's a new change. Looks like a spell going down from Mazdamundi, though it looks like Lucard does see it. They kind of juked, but then they went back, and Banishment going down, catching some of their units. Forsaken running up. Forsaken are interesting. They will munch through skink cohorts, and actually red-crested skink, so not too bad. Ooh, and there's a Scarvet over here that I had not noticed. Double Feral Stegodon is very interesting. I love these little dinosaurs. We'll see what kind of damage they can do. Looks like Forsaken getting charged by the Horned One's going to take probably a lot of damage from this fight. Yeah, you can see down here the elite cav of the dinos doing some work. Forsaken didn't do bad back into them, or maybe that was the axes getting thrown over the top. Khorne are in, though, so you want to get your dinos out of there. Yep, Horned One's pulling back. Nice play from Bob. Red-Crested Skinks with an Earth Blood on top of Forsaken. That's going to be a good trade. Looks like Furies are thinking about diving into the skirmishers back here. Horned One's ready to react, and yep, they are going to dive down into these skirmishers. Looks like Bob sees that and wants those Horned Ones to clean them up. The Feral Stegodons have come from their hangout and are ready to join the fight. Nice Slopnir. That's an ability from Valkia that does some nice damage going down into this unit. The infantry trade is going okay for both sides. Ooh, the Knights of the Brazen Throne went in here trying to deal with the Coder Sotek, but they have a unique ability where they can refuse to die. They just, no matter how much HP HP damage, they're staying alive, and they pop that, and that's really big right now because they're getting a lot of good swings in. The Feral Stegodons are in. The Dinos have sounded the horn of war as the Big Toad. Man, I love the cinematics of this game. Just look at that map. This was a community-created map. It's a really cool one. The Bubble Aura, the Gungan Beam, going up to protect the units around here. Khorne Gores getting in. Not what you want as dinos. They're going to be taking a lot of damage from those anti-large attacks. Over here, Minotaurs have come in. These guys really beat down big dinos. They have a huge armor-piercing anti-large ability, and one Stegodon gets the business from them. And they are popping over to join in the fight against the Horned Ones. And looks like the Horned Ones got a lot of damage in on Knights of the Brazen Throne. Yep, Cold One Spear Riders coming in to join that fight. Minotaurs are going to do a lot of damage, but take a lot in return. You can see just every unit's HP pool is going down right now very fast. These throwing axes will do really nicely. They might be a little obstructed. No, they're chucking their axes just fine. Earthblood going down on top of the units here. It looks like the Toad is just healing these things out in the back, but I think the Lizards might be losing this fight right now. They're losing their Horned Ones. There's one little cohort of Sotek guy right down there. Cold One Spear Riders down. Horned Ones down. One of the oh no, there's another Horned One unit is active over here, chasing down the Knights of the Brazen Throne. So that's really good for the Lizards. Looks like the Knights did get a charge in. Ooh, we have Sacred Croxagars, the Space Marines of the Lizards with their power fists coming in to punch some units, doing some really nice damage. And I think no, it's the ROR who has the ability that kind of like debuffs while it's doing. Slapnir going down, very nice. Korngor's holding the line. Nice banishment on top of the Forsaken here. That's going to do a lot of damage. Let's zoom out and take a macro look. There is a triple cap right now from Khorne, so that is applying the pressure. Lizardmen are the ones who have to win this fight, and soon. Ooh, Scarvet getting some work in on Valkia. Valkia maybe a little overextended. Need to pull back out of there. It looks like she will be able to. Minotaur boxing in here with the Croxagars. Stegodon coming in. Jurassic Park has arrived, and that's going to do some really nice damage into those big guys. Probably going to take out those Minotaurs, and then beyond that, I mean, the Knights of the Brazen Throne are active. Korngors will not be active for long. Looking a little bare bones here for Khorne, as the Lizards, with their healing and their damage lead, look to be in a pretty solid position right now. But Khorne does have the advantage on points, so if they can play these side objectives and avoid the Lizard blob in the middle, they might still have a chance in this one. Over here, Blood Beasts of Khorne, a nice unit, but looks like they went a little too greedily, too deeply, as Turin and the Dwarves often say, and they are going to go down. In the middle, Forsaken and Minotaurs going down. On the flank, Furies do have some nice options, but you can see Bob's on top of it, has lots of Velociraptor Cav in the area, seems to really enjoy the Velociraptor Cav, Bob, and I agree with him. I think they are, with their armor piercing and mobility, they are very good in this matchup. Marauder Horsemen of Khorne do have a bonus versus, oh, that's the wrong unit, a bonus versus infantry, so I like sending them in here to clean up this objective. They might be able to win that fight, take back objective 3. In the middle, it is a solid dino victory, and likely a victory in the game with it. From taking a macro look at the battlefield, there is not a lot left for Khorne. Dinos are going to move some units here onto objective 2, take that, get an advantage in the game, and this nasty blob of dinosaurs is going to keep getting healed, keep running things over. These bloodletters a little isolated, going to get picked off and just straight up taken to Jurassic Park 2 right now. That is, it's not going to be good for them. And yeah, I think that might be game there. Khorne does have a points lead, but we're looking at a similar situation where once those dinosaurs get out there and on the objectives, they're very fast to react. A little Stegodon coming back, a little Stegodon that could. So they can bounce around to wherever you go and kind of take you out. So we can fast forward from this point. Things are zooming around, but I'm not seeing too much of a chance for Khorne. Looks like they do hold still, what is it, one objective? Valkia did go down. That is definitely going to be the nail in the coffin back here by these Cold One Spear Riders. That will make some units rout. I mean, if you had a Sword of Khorne right now, that would be really cool. That might give you a chance to take out most of these units. Really hoping there's a Sword of Khorne. That would be very cool, but I don't think there is. Plenty of units coming over to Objective 3. Going to make that one very solid for the Lizards. Objective 2 might be flipping here, but oh, the Horned Ones are back. They may have died in their first life, but they have returned with a vengeance, and they will kill anything that Khorne sends over here. Likely, I mean, a bunch of Khorne Gores would do well, but there is a lot of Lizard units that could bounce out there. I mean, Khorne is approaching a point where, I mean, at this point, if they hold Objective 2 for the next 200 seconds, excuse me, they would win, but I just don't see it happening. I mean, there's so many Lizard units coming over, and I just don't think there's a chance, especially with these Horned Ones. They are going to dumpster both of these units. Lizards are going to roll up with some infantry. That's going to give them the capture weight. More fast reacting units coming in. Not going to matter, I don't think. Yep, capture weight coming onto the objective. Going to start trading nicely. Khorne's going to try the same thing on the other side, but I think they are just out of time. It's an interesting matchup. I found it kind of funny that two replays showed up around the same time of this matchup on the same map. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of check it out and see how the dynamic between these two armies is. I think it's a matchup that both armies can win. Definitely in these two matches we've seen that the Lizards seem to have more sustainability, which makes sense. They are the cold-blooded ones. They're not going to run easily. They're like one of the most high leadership factions in the game, and they really have fast capture weight. Seems like both Khorne players went for kind of an early rush triple cap, hoping to get a huge points lead and then be able to eke out the win through that method. But the Lizards have such fast capture weight. Like if we look at red crested skinks here, infantry units, so they have 5 capture weight. They have 44 speed, and that's even with that unit being winded. So infantry is really going to get on the objectives in a matter of moments. I mean, even with 100 seconds left, if there's a triple cap, Lizards might have a chance at capturing things. So maybe for Khorne, they need a more type of slow approach. I mean, you can't really skirmish as Khorne. You could maybe bring a Hell Cannon or something like that. I'm not sure what Khorne does here. Maybe you just go heavier into the anti-large units. Fleshhounds, once again, not doing very well. I don't know what Khorne's other options are, but they might have to look into them in this matchup. They don't seem to do well. Maybe replacing those Fleshhounds with just more throwing axes. The throwing axes are very nice. The Knights of the Brazen Throne were a very Chad pick, very cool. Unfortunately, I think they cost more than that, so not quite their value. Valkia was okay. Valkia always does okay. Khorne Gore's doing pretty well. Blood Beasts, Minotaurs. Minotaurs were really solid. I think we could have seen maybe another Minotaur rather than, say, this Fleshhound and Blood Beast. Yeah, Minotaurs, maybe they're the key to unlocking this one for Khorne. I'm not sure. Toad doing well. Horned ones doing very well. Stegodons, they were around, and they bumped some stuff with their horns, which is what they're there for. Sacred Rocksagar's doing okay. Very fun. Thank you to Bob and LeCart for sending this one in to get casted. Really enjoyed it. Thank you all for watching. And if any of you in the comments have any thoughts on this matchup, what you think Khorne could maybe do to get some wins in here, let me know. And I will catch you next time.